Welcome back to day 6 of our journey to 2000 ELO and chess.com. Two things today. First of all, I'd like to start off by thanking all of you guys because recently we passed 500 subs, and that's you guys. So, well, thanks a lot. Second thing, a few days ago I made a community post on the channel asking you guys whether you would be interested in a Discord channel or not. 16, I think, of you guys said yes. I wasn't really looking for a majority vote, just for there to be enough people with an interest, for there to be in a community. So Disage, I think that's how your name might be pronounced. You said you would be interested in setting up the channel with me, so feel free to send me a mail, which you can find my email address to on the YouTube channel page. Well, that's about it for our intro today. Let's jump on ahead into our browser here and find an opponent. Yesterday didn't go all that well. Our winning streak has ended, but I still think I'm optimistic here. After all, we are already up to 1530 ELO, and that's quite something. Pretty sure pushing here is the best move, as we've seen from a previous analysis, but this Mujana formation is something I'm not familiar with at all. Most likely I think it's intending to prevent this move here, grabbing the center and defending our pawn. Although I don't think it matters all that much. I would like to come up here, in fact, and prepare getting the knight up behind the pawn, while also defending this center pawn. We could see this move maybe, but if it's played, we take, and our opponent loses castling rights, which I think would be good for us. Now, this most likely is what I'm looking at. Then this move can be met with a capture by the knight, and there is no longer a check along this diagonal, which could be annoying in some positions. We haven't quite started developing our kingside yet. I don't think it's important to do so immediately though. Let's come up here. This is unknown territory to me. Not quite surprised, to be honest, as a Mujana formation is not something I've ever heard of at all. We're getting a fianchetto setup by our opponent, or so I'd guess at least. However, the king is getting opened up a bit, which might be to our advantage. I'd like to develop this bishop here immediately now, taking advantage of this maybe. And I think if we get to take this and come up this way, I think this pawn here might become quite strong, as it can't get targeted by another pawn. Let's come up here, we might see this, but then I don't think we quite mind this either, getting onto this diagonal, which seems quite strong as well. The bishop comes up, defending the knight. Now we have to make a decision. It's going to be this, or this, most likely. We're still at 14 minutes, no troubles there. We could wait for this bishop to come out and maybe look to target this. Our opponent's king, most likely going to be a bit weak for the time being. I don't think we need to defend this pawn immediately. I don't feel like it's a threat just now. Once this moves, there is going to be stuff down here though, which we will have to be a bit careful about. So rook to b1 at some point, maybe a move, most likely a move even, or we could come out with a knight here, defending this knight. But honestly, I think I'd like to come up with a knight here, keeping our flexibility, and just developing a piece. I don't think the difference here is massive between the moves, although it might be something at least. This, and we can't quite go there because of this control here, and we're opening up the rook now as well then, so maybe not. We have a few options. One of them is this, simply getting off of this annoying diagonal in the long term. We have the good castle as well, of course, And this configuration here in the center might get annoying. What I'm looking at then is this here, which might force a trade. And well, the position could get opened up, staring down towards our king there. And we don't want to lose our king, definitely don't want to lose our king, so I think we'll be coming up with the e-pawn. Looking to develop the bishop here or here maybe, and I guess defending this pawn in front of the king with this pawn. d6 is not a move I expected. Might be preparing for this move by means of taking like this. Most likely I think that's the case in fact. Don't think we have a million options there in regards to what we'd want to do. We could kind of preemptively come up here with the queen. And then if this is played, we could just take here. Definitely an option. I don't know how much I enjoy the option of playing that move. Most likely instead, let's come up here defending this and just getting ready to castle so as not to overextend our position here. This is likely to be played, although we might be pushed back first, not quite sure. We might see a slower move as well, but I think our opponent wants to get this knight out to c6. Apparently not though. Apparently not. They come out this way. And then what do we play? We could castle the knight. It could come here, but that's no problem. Then we can come here and the knight is forced back. So I think most likely we will be castling here. We could set up some kind of b4 break as well, but I don't think it's necessary immediately. Yeah, let's castle. Just get to safety. We could see some position here where our opponent might try to go for a pawn push like this and targeting our king, but I think we've got enough pieces there to the point we don't have to be all that scared. This is a move. Don't think this is a move because of this. Rook to b1 has to be a move quite soon. The knight comes back around, I guess teaming up for this. It's been in the air for a while now. There is no news there, or there are no news rather. That's to be expected at this point. I think we want to dodge this before stuff opens up. Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of options of doing other stuff at least. So let's come up here. We might not even have to take here, in fact. Not quite sure. But if this is played, can we just come here maybe? And if takes, we would have to take here though. And we can't defend this pawn with another pawn. But I don't think we would lose it either. We could see this maybe and pressure could be applied. So the pawn might get difficult to defend, especially with this pawn being here, defending this square, or at least keeping us away from targeting it. a4. Our opponent here is respecting our idea here of playing b4. But honestly our main idea was in fact this move, just going off of the long diagonal. Now then, can we come here? I think there's an option maybe. If this is played, oh, that looks a bit annoying. We might have to slide back then. But then we could go here maybe, but then we block our b-pawn. Don't think we want to block the b-pawn. We could play for this. The position is a bit more locked than I would have liked for it to be. It's quite closed here. Can we get into a position like this maybe? Not quite. We would have to have a knight here, but we can't get a knight to that square just yet. This is a maneuver, but that's going to take too long. This bishop, it's still playing the game, but it's a bit far behind. We could play for this. It's an idea here I've been considering at least. It's just I don't quite love it. Considering coming up here, just holding our stuff together, connecting the rooks as well. Honestly, that's probably a decent move. As long as, of course, as our f3 pawn or f3 knight doesn't get compromised by being unable to come back here. I don't think that's the case here though, at least, so we'll be coming up. This move here had a lot of benefits. A lot of merits, rather. Now we're kind of doubling up here with this pressure, but, well, it doesn't make a massive difference though. I think this is still the main move our opponent could play here. Don't think they should play 2 moves up. Probably a bit too committal. So f6, probably going to be played. It's not though. I don't know if our opponent is deliberately not playing the move or if they've simply not spotted it. Still, this is an idea. I'm realizing here our opponent might be intending to play b5 themselves. They're not multiple people. We've got one opponent people, not several. But I think this is not playable because takes, and we have one more piece. So I think we've got time to play our pawn up and play for this pawn break of our own. Position here is getting a bit complicated, but it's not quite the end of the world. If we trade here, this knight could open up to get some nasty jumps on into the position. Maybe paired with this knight, and we could have something going on for sure. Importantly now, this knight protected by the queen. So this bishop isn't threatening to capture it if we push this pawn here. Didn't quite consider this move here. I think it forces our hand, to be honest. Takes. And then what? We might have to come all the way back. This is a nasty fork after all. Yeah, let's take. This will be played. The rook will open up. A good spot by our opponent, for sure. Now this opens up as well. That's a powerful move with multiple ideas behind it. Multiple ideas, for sure. Nasher 99 here from, well, International. No country there. Where does our knight go? Most likely this is our only move. Yeah, it seems to be. We can't quite come here, I think. Seems a bit loose. Luckily the bishop is not quite threatened, or we would have been in a really bad spot here. So let's come back, disconnect our rooks. I don't love it, especially with this pawn here clamping down on our stuff. But we might play f3 even to deal with our disadvantage here. Opening up some stuff, but then this e-pawn might become weak. I think that's just going to have to be the price we pay to get what we need. Luckily, at least, this pawn can't be pushed now because of this. Well, that's at least something going in our favor from what's just transpired here. I don't know if I want to play this move. Most likely I think it's probably okay. And if takes, I think we would take with the knight even. Connecting our rooks once again, although I'm not 100% sure. Difficult to say for certain what the best move is. But we have to come up with a plan. This is a move here, I think. Although it's going to open up this rook for some activity, it's still going to give us some access into the position. This is an idea as well. We don't want to come up here as this gets annoying, I think. Or well, this might be a move. Trying to force the king open. It's not quite my kind of style though. I like to play more clinically. This probably a move now because of our knight previously on c3 being traded off. If this is played, this rather, I think b3 might become an option, intending to trade off like this to keep this pawn here defended. But then this move, and well, it can't be played immediately, but when and if it would be played, we might end up with an isolated pawn on c4. But then those pawns here, at least this pawn, might be a weakness for our opponent, so it's not as though we will only have back sides here in the position. Our opponent has started to think a lot. The position has become complicated. I'm glad we've dodged the stuff down here as well. If our rook was an a1 now, this bishop might have become quite difficult to deal with. Our rook here not having the time of its life. We might have to change that a tiny bit. Okay, our opponent here wants to, I guess, fix the pawn structure and push this pawn. One or the other maybe, or both even. We could come down here maybe. And then if this is pushed, we have this. I don't know if it's best for us to play this, first this, and then come here or not. Most likely I think we would like to leave the bishop here blocking its own rook and being a bit more exposed. So yeah, we'll be coming to f4. And now this can be met with this idea. And most likely, our opponent does not want this, because, well, have you ever seen a worse pawn structure than what this would be? That's, well, honestly, the triple stacks have proven themselves to be okay in some positions, but I think there are too many pieces left on the board where we can take advantage of a triple stack. So by moving back here, we've kind of prevented our opponent's main play. Although they could come here, of course. That's a bit committal though, definitely. I think that's going to leave us with most of the play in the position here, if that's played. As our opponent kind of kills off their pawn mobility to a certain degree then. Importantly now, this pawn can never be defended by another pawn, unless I guess this, and this is played. So this is a target, which can become difficult for our opponent to deal with in the long term. We can't easily hit the pawn though. We could slide on over with the queen maybe. The bishop can't hit it though, and the knight can't either. The rooks can't get to the pawn, so most likely it would have to be the bishop or the queen. Can this be defended by a knight? Not quite. The knight could jump in here, but that's not going to defend it. This bishop. Well, it could come here, in fact, and it might even be an intended move by our opponent if we do target the pawn. We see this instead. Looking to go en passant here if we play the move we would like to play. Can we come here? Applying pressure in two directions and defending this pawn. Only problem, then our knight cannot get out at all. Do we move the knight first? Problem is, if we come up with the knight, it can't really come forwards in any direction, so it doesn't really change a whole lot. So this might be a move. If we win the pawn, well, that's going to be good. If we don't, let's say this is played, we do not want this move. That's too weakening for the mere purpose of winning a single pawn. So let me think for a quick second here. How do we deal with this position? The knight has to get into the game. It's just, we don't have any jumps that does anything at all, unless we play this, and just didn't want to play the move, to be honest. Yes, I thought this pawn here might become a target, where we would not have to trade off a pawn for it. Might still be the case, but it's going to be difficult to get the pawn or knight out. This, there is this and this. We defend this and target this. I think that's probably okay. If this is played and this is played, I think we have the same idea coming up here, and I think it's going to force en passant, whereas this is not necessarily going to do so. So, well, let's come here, trying to target our opponent's pawn structure. And if this is played, we still take here. Pretty sure this is going to favor us, simply because we have the semi-open file, like this, with immediate pressure. Only issue, of course, is this rook here can't join in on the action just this rook here can't join in on the action just yet because of the knight being forced back. But well, let's say this is played, we come here, and we can easily get back into the game with our pieces in a few moves. Still, this is not playable because of this. Our opponent could still push here, but as I mentioned, I think that's probably an overextension with the pawn. So I would be happy to see the move, although it might even be good, not quite sure. The computer might evaluate it as kind of killing off space for us. But at the same time, it's going to kill off this bishop to some degree, so maybe not. Not quite sure there. Our opponent is thinking, do they take and allow this, or this even? It's a difficult decision. We could slide on around as well with our bishop and target this. Let's say this is played. We could come here and target the pawn. Could get difficult to protect, not quite sure, but then this could be played and we don't have the bishop protecting from behind. So maybe we keep the bishop here for the time being. Oh, this is an interesting move. Our opponent wants to take like this and defend this pawn with the knight. Okay, let's try and calculate quickly here. I don't think we have to force the issue just yet. We could just improve our position in the meantime. Come up here, get our knight into the game, and then this rook is one move closer to entering the game. This pawn here, still quite awkward to defend. This pawn, would have liked to say it's hanging, but it's not, and there is this X-ray defense here as well. This, and we would capture with the knight, so as to keep this semi-open file here in our favor. We don't want to take with the pawn at least, because then this pawn here becomes an isolated passed pawn with a rook behind it. That's not going to be good if that were to be played. Still this. It's not quite an option just yet because of this. There might be some sequence here where our bishop is first back, and then we get something else. I don't quite know what this move does. Our opponent still intends this. This, we still have this. We can't come up here because of the bishop. So how do we do this? This, the bishop opens up, although we don't have a target just yet. I do still think it's going to be nice for us though. No, this, of course, the knight's going to take. That's the whole plan here. Don't want to forget it. This is bad. As it locks the structure. Don't quite think we like that. I'm feeling kind of strangled here, to be honest. There's not a lot of space to play with. The knight can't maneuver. This bishop though, no, it can't come up this way, can't come here. Can we play a slow improving move? Yeah, let's go for this. I didn't see a good alternative here. Might be some good move here, trying to go for something concrete. We'll have a look in the analysis, because this, I guess, is a critical point at which I did not quite know the best move at all. Just getting some left for the endgame, and maybe the option of dropping back with our bishop. A slow improving move. Also maybe taking away ideas like this in the long term, although it's not playable just yet. But now, if this bishop defends the pawn here, we can come up like this, with this kind of a pawn structure, which it's weakening, but we'll have to see if it's worthwhile as we get there. Still, this is no good because of this. Our opponent here is kind of at a loss for options as well, I think. Well, they could go here maybe. I think that's a decent idea. I think I'm kind of realizing that's probably an option here still. So yeah, it's not trivial. If this pawn push here is played, maybe we would be coming up this way, like taking here. And if this is played, coming up this way, our opponent's queen is just repositioning. What's happening here then? Is our opponent preparing for some long-term attack maybe? Against our king? Might be the case. Let's take here. Maybe I might be getting a bit impatient. But I would like to just get our pieces up and into the game. I feel like just standing around here doing nothing is getting us nowhere at all. But this might be a good opener. A starting move here. I think that's probably good. Will prevent knight to b3 as well. And get some decent jumps potentially into the position. If this is played, we'll take with the queen. Don't think I see any setbacks there. We might have this option now, applying pressure in several directions while keeping our stuff defended, of course. This knight here deals with this as well, although I do feel like we have quite a lot of pressure down here in this position now at least. I don't think there is h5, although this or oh, that's honestly that's lucky. That's incredibly lucky. If this was playable, we would be in a lost position right now. But we have en passant, and it would even come off. No, it wouldn't be good, but we would at least go even there. This, though, it's at least a way here of forcing en passant. This is played here, and if this is played, we have en passant still. Pretty sure we don't go here. Although, honestly, no, of course not. Then we lose the bishop, so we have to take with the queen. Just looking quickly here at knight to b3. But there is no concrete fork there. Now let's come up. There might be this, this, and this maybe. Oh, that's actually kind of scary. I don't see a good response there. This has gotten a bit tactical because of this potential move here. We would like to come back with a piece if given the chance to do so. Maybe here, I guess, to defend this pawn from whatever's happening in this direction. I really don't hope our opponent sees this. I think that's essentially a first line. Maybe not though, because we might have this, this, and if this is played, we take the bishop. And that might not be the end of the world. This is annoying though, but just this knight being here defending both of the pawns is annoying in and of itself. Our queen is hit like this though. Not a big surprise. Most likely I think I'd like to come in this way, applying pressure, being as annoying as possible. Our queen can't get targeted by any piece at all. Well, this could be played, but not yet, because we could take the pawn, I think. Or maybe... Is this a trap? Oh no, the rooks can't get in there in that position. Oh, we're running low on time. Oops, ooh, oh wow, there is this. Don't want to blunder that, so let's come back instead and prevent the loss of material. Almost blundered. Good thing we didn't. I think. I hope. This is getting a bit tactical. And a bit scary. This is often the case with tactical positions. Still, I think this is a move. This pawn here is luckily defended by the bishop. We're looking at some potential infiltration here by the queen. Would have really loved to have a skewer here. It's not quite a skewer though. This might allow us to push this while also defending an infiltration square. Let's play it. We don't have unlimited time. And no, we can't go there because of the knight. The knight's really annoying me. But now we're hitting this pawn at least. Just creating several problems for our opponent to solve. There is this, yeah, this, and this. Hopefully it's not spotted. I think that's a pretty good sequence. As I think it's first because this is a powerful threat. It's probably a bit computerish of a line, but if it's played this, and this, we do still have counterplay down here, I guess, with immediate pressure against the bishop. So it might not even be good at all. We'll have to see. Our opponent here down to 1 minute as well. We're getting the low on time, both of us. Do I have... I have got the sound turned on. I just haven't heard anything, I don't think, in terms of the in-game sounds. So I'm a bit confused there, but it might just be me being a bit silly. Don't quite know. Our opponent down below 1 minute. I didn't hear anything there, so there might not be sound for me here. This is a weird move. I guess we just drop back, defending our stuff. What does our opponent intend to do as a follow-up? This pawn is still hanging. They might want to come here maybe, defending the pawn. Seems a bit passive. Now the queen defense. Hmm. 1 minute to 1 minute. We just have to play non-losing moves, to be honest. And this, I think, is a non-losing move, which I think is a slight improvement as well, because it might allow for some doubling up on this file here. And the bishop is gone, so that's not a worry. We still have pressure here against the pawn, annoying to defend for our opponent. Okay, so we're just seeing pressure like this. Let's come back then maybe. Having ideas like this. Don't quite know here. It's a weird position. Mutual time pressure. It seems like our opponent is getting a bit slow here. They might even lose some time very quickly. The pawn is pushed. We will drop back. I don't think this is an issue at all for us. And now this pawn can't be pushed because we have sufficient pieces controlling this. So the opponent's king has simply gotten weaker, and they blundered the material immediately. I think that's probably played a bit too quickly by me, but I just couldn't see how that's not free for us. So I just went for it, and it seems to be pretty okay. Would have liked to come here with our queen, targeting this and this. Not quite possible, I think. Can we come here maybe? I think this is good. And this has to be good. Our opponent's king is too open. This, and we just come up like this, and all of our pieces are quickly coming onto the king here. We've got limited, well, not limited, we've got unlimited time here, I think, in regards to just breaking on through, because our opponent doesn't quite have the options to play how I think they would like to play. Targeting the rook, not a bad move. I think it's a bit scripted. We can just come here, double up. Now we can take. Our opponent is down to 20 seconds. They take. Do we go for the triple stack? I think we'll be coming up like this, keeping the mobility of our queen. An alternative here. Could come here, I guess. Doesn't immediately threaten anything, but it might be good. The knight jumps back. Now we can come here. Threatening to trade off the queen while being defended by this pawn. I think this is good, right? We'll get a decent pawn cluster here. First the knight back. Could play for this move, open up our bishop. The knight jumps in here. Now I think we can come up like this and probably win a pawn. Just don't want to get forked. This. There is this move, but then I think we just slide on over and this pawn is lost. Let's go here. This, 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 and this. I guess we'll end up trading pawns, but I think we get the activity, which will be good for us. This will be targeted, this will be annoying. This pawn here is hanging. The king is just open. This is bad though. Do we go here, targeting the bishop? I guess we do. No, maybe not, because this still loses the pawn. Can't come here though, because of this. What happens here? Honestly, that's a bit more annoying than I would like for it to be. But let's go here, this will be played. We can come here, I guess, with threats like this. I didn't see this move, or didn't quite consider it a threat. Don't quite think it is still. And let's come here. If this is played, we'll have annoying stuff here. Can double up, maybe win material. This pawn here is still hanging. Yeah, this looks all good. Just making sure here we're not dropping any forks. Don't think so. We'll come here, trying to get in like this. Winning a bishop maybe, or maybe just simplifying. It might be good as well. This is still in the air. We're playing an increment here, both of us. Yeah, this is played, but now we get this. And the game should be over, I think. Yes, we just win material. Even if this is played, we can come here, taking the rook. This can be played as we just take, and if this is played, we take. Yeah, this is just good. It's free real estate from this point. The pawn is free. we'll take with the rook. Then I guess we cut the king off if possible. Try to promote the pawn. I think we should be in for a pretty decent conversion here. Up 6 points of material. The pawn and the rook. Seems our opponent runs out of time here. We'll go ahead here and say thanks for the game to our opponent. They played a really good game. Just unfortunate a couple of the moves towards the end here. Didn't see any mistakes here at this depth. We'll have a look at what happens when we jump on into the analysis. As oftentimes it tends to change a bit there. Yeah, 86.5 for us and 80.5 for our opponent. We did have a miss here. 2 mistakes and 4 inaccuracies. Let's just go through the moves. This was good. We've played this before, or this rather, but that's not as good. So from previous analysis, we knew d5 was good here. This was just intuition. It wasn't the best move. What was the best move here? Oh, I guess just coming up with the knight immediately. I tend to prefer coming up with the knight behind the pawn, and then the pawn can defend this pawn. I think we got off to a pretty decent start here. Apparently this kind of an idea is better, because I think our opponent wants to play for this, and then the bishop opens up in our favor. All good stuff here. No big mistakes until this move was played. Should have went here. I guess just repositioning the pieces ever so slightly. This wasn't good. Oh, it's because of this move, which was played later on and is proved to be quite annoying. We were forced back. Should have went here apparently and taken. Didn't quite want to do so, wanted to keep some material, was not the best move. And honestly, I'm kind of confused. This is not good for us. Why can't we take? I'm really confused. The computer just wants our opponent here to sack a full pawn. Yeah, I don't think neither player would have ever spotted all this. But of course we don't have any piece mobility here, which the computer can see, but I don't think that's human at all, not even in the slightest. Should have pushed. What would have happened if we pushed? I guess we get the quicker play on the king side if the position gets closed down. At least that's what I would guess from what I just saw. A few more moves, maneuvering around here. The knight came in. We went back, should have apparently went here, although the differences are quite small here. Went up. At this point, our opponent had a slight advantage. I'm honestly really surprised to see h5 being the best move. That seems incredibly weakening. And this being the best move? How in the world? I thought it just seems really bad. If anything, I thought maybe this was good. But I guess we can close down like this. It's just, I don't see our opponents play there. Apparently, they're supposed to follow up like this and apply pressure. I guess it might make some sense. We got this though, and from this point on it felt pretty nice. Glad to have seen this idea here became the best idea as stuff opened up. This wasn't the best. I kind of feel stupid saying it afterwards here or in hindsight, but I did look at this move. and thought, do we want to trade off like this? Only thing here is I didn't quite see the follow-up. And I felt it might be dangerous trading off both of our rooks, which apparently was not the case. Some more repositioning of pieces here. Should have went here apparently. I don't quite see the difference, to be honest. I thought this seemed okay. What happens here then? We still take, so not quite sure. Might be a matter of the knight being able to reposition here, maybe. Not quite sure at all. This was still good, and well, we just got in with our pieces. Our opponent made a few mistakes, and this knight move, I think, just sealed the deal. I don't quite know why this was not a mistake, as now we got this. But I guess it might have been forced either way, and this move could have been unpreventable. But then this, and our opponent doesn't quite lose material there. So I can't tell there, to be honest. But this was good, and our opponent resigned, or rather lost on time in this position, and we got the win today. So well then, that's our game for today, guys. Thanks to our opponent, Nasher99 from, well, it says international. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your days, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.